Thank you for joining us with the full-length interview of Sam Dyer and Alex Coffey. If you'd like to skip what was already shown in episode 3 of the Cooldown Lap, go to the timestamp shown on screen or scrub to 16 minutes and 50 seconds. Thank you and enjoy. Well, welcome everybody to the Cooldown Lap with that of Alex Coffey from Wicked Racing League. Alex is a driver who's been here since season 1. He's got himself tied with the most starts in Wicked Racing League with 29 with that of Blaine Wilson. But besides those starts, he's got 5 poles, 5 wins, 14 top 15, 14 top 5s, and also 19 top 10s. Alex, it's great to have you. You look at those stats. You're one of the top dogs in the Wicked Racing League. How are you feeling coming into having this cooldown lap
Uh,
conversation?
that's actually my first time hearing those stats, so I've never looked at them as a whole. Um, but I feel good, man. It's good to be here. Glad you wanted to have me on here. So yeah, excited
Yeah, I mean,
for
you
the
were one of the people I
playoffs.
really wanted to talk to, Alex, just coming into this because we're recording this right before the playoffs for season 2 begin, and kind of wanted to get to know you before we get to see your racing action with the playoffs. And speaking of that, introduce yourself to the Freaky Fast broadcasting world.
I'm Alex Coffey, drive the number 7 for CNC Esports in the Wicked Racing League. Um, yeah, I've been in iRacing for I got my account probably 2008, 2009 when it first came out. I was on R Factor before iRacing and took a break off iRacing. I think 2013. I didn't play up until 2021. So a few years back at it now. So yeah, I just had a lot of racing experience in real life as well. So that's how I got into the sim racing actually.
Well, let's touch on that actually. Then, real life racing experience. How much real life experience do you have?
I raced for 8 years when I was age 8 to 16. Um, I raced Bandoleros, then Legends cars, then I did a year in late models, all on asphalt. I think I ran one dirt race my whole career in a Legends car. But yeah, I raced at Atlanta Motor Speedway mostly on the quarter mile, the Legends cars. Um, Mainly all in Georgia. I raced with a few guys that are in Cup now. I did a few seasons with Cendric and Byron, and I did a few races with Chase Elliott my first year, but I never was competing with Chase Elliott because I think he was a few years in. It was my first year, so that was a rough year my first year for sure. But yeah, it was a good time though.
Well, that sounds like a blast. I know for myself, I always wanted to try out real life racing, but my family, we never had the money to get into it. So we were like, yeah, we'll just have fun watching it instead.
Yeah. So my it goes down the line with my dad raced go karts when he was young, and his dad raced Daytona back in the day when they was on the beach. So yeah, it's kind of a family thing
Wow.
with us.
That's crazy. So that is a long lineage of racing action.
Yeah, yeah, and even my grandfather on my mother's side, he used to drag race back in the day, so a little bit. So yeah,
Okay.
it comes from all directions, I guess.
Well, that's incredible to hear that where that all that came into. And I feel like the most generic question always comes to how much does real life racing come into iRacing? Did you feel when you made that transition, or just most simulators that you've raced in?
Um, it does cross over a lot. I mean, just the basics of driving and how a car feels. I feel like with simulation, I got into it so young that I can't really tell you too much of like a main difference. I haven't driven a real race car in a while, and I sim raced for a while, even when I was driving real race cars. So it did definitely. I would say when I was racing, it being younger, it helped a lot with just situations, being able to say miss an accident or just different situations. I mean, it's really a simulator, so it puts you in a lot of situations you could race every day of the week, and you're gonna have different situations pop up than if you're just racing one time a week in real life. So that's the main thing I would say it helps with, just racing, racecraft, and awareness and all that.
Well, taking that, being able to race almost every day, leak racing, what got you into wanting to do leak racing, or were you always about official racing?
I just got into official racing probably last year, a year and a half ago. Um, I mainly used to do a lot of league racing just because I like the point system. I like the seasons. I just, racing with the same group of guys. You're able to learn people better. Um, I used to racing with the same group of guys mostly throughout a season. So it was just that consistency of having the same group of people, and going for the same championship, I guess you could say.
Yeah. Well, bringing it to Wicked now a little bit more. You've been here since season one. You're also part of the admin group that helps with the Wicked Racing League. How did you get into becoming an admin and wanting to help with the Wicked Racing League?
Well, with the initial conversation, me, Buzzio, John Curtis. He hasn't been here too much this season, but he was around for season one most of the time. Me, us three, Nigel Christensen included. We were kind of in another situation or another league, and we just kind of just all moved over and had the same idea. And Buzzio was the manager, and he did a good job, so he just transferred over to being the manager here, and we all just we all came up with the idea kind of collectively. And Buzzio was just he's on top of stuff most of the time, so he uh he put his foot forward, and here we are.
Well, here we are for sure. Season two, about to set up for the playoffs. I know this season's been a little different than season one. Season one, it was kind of all Gavin's show, it felt like, for the
Mhm.
most time. This season, though, you found yourself in victory lane a lot more often, but also have been in conflict with Gavin. How has this season been so different from last? Because that's just from our point of view, that's what it seems like, is you and Gavin are getting
Yeah.
at it a lot more often this season than last season.
Yeah, I would say there was a little bit of that last season too. I guess it was just more not in the moment of but there was some back and forth last year. But I don't have no problem with Gavin. He's a very great driver in my opinion. It's just we're always battling. We're always beside each other. We both race each other hard, and we both don't give each other an inch. So, I mean, it's not like every time me and Gavin are around each other we make contact, but we do. If you're around the guy most of the race, every so often there's gonna be contact. So I try not to make anybody mad on a personal level or anything like that. But yeah, it's just this season has been more. I don't know. It's just more contenders up there with us. I would say that are consistently up there in the mix in the fight. Um, we had a lot of new teams and guys come over this season, and they've been real successful too. So
Well, we're heading into the playoffs. First race is going to be Charlotte, and at the time of us recording it, it's going to be tomorrow. How are you feeling about going into these playoffs and your confidence level of trying to go for a championship?
feeling pretty good. Charlotte is not my favorite mile and a half, and Michigan's not my favorite track either. But the other three they're all right for me. So I hope we have some good runs in these next two, and then the three after that should be able to lock in and make a run for it for sure.
And those three being Dover, Darlington, and Kansas,
Yes,
for
sir.
those listening. And what makes you feel so confident about those three tracks if you can get to that point of the playoffs?
Um, Dover is a real tight, fast track. I mean, I just like Dover. I had pretty good success there last year. Darlington's the main one I'd say I'm looking forward to. Just short track, or relatively short track, and I've ran a few Darlington races in another league, and then officials were there. a month or two ago. So done a lot of Darlington, feeling good there. And then coming off Kansas win last year, hopefully we can double that up.
I hope to see that happen because I feel like you really this season it's been fun to watch you develop as a driver. I know from season one, you kind of got the reputation of someone that was always aggressive at all times. That aggression seems to still be there for season two. Was there always that thought of I need to be up front at all times type of a mindset, or has it been evolving in how you want to race?
Um, well, like I said, I come up from Legends cars on a flat quarter mile and stuff. If you wasn't giving the bumper back when you get in the bumper and moving a guy you might be a little quicker than, you wasn't gonna be in the top five. So uh, it comes from that. I try to tone it down a lot. Um, but I mean, I don't know, man.
Yeah, it's fine. I
it
think that's a good enough answer. If you grow up a certain style, it
Yeah,
sticks with you.
it's hard to break some habits. I'm not trying to run anybody over or trying to wreck anybody. Definitely, that's not my intent. But I'm not afraid to use a bumper if I'm feeling. I do feel sometimes to get up there a little quicker, to be out of a danger zone. I guess you could say on certain tracks. Um, and then certain times there's races where I feel like I run real good, run real patient, and then I get collected by just something off the wall. And those are kind of some letdowns and make you kind of turn back aggressive, I guess, the next week. But you got to be aggressive sometimes if you want to get up there.
Yeah, I feel that. I know as someone that was driving a little bit in season one and just one race in season two, I knew whenever I saw you in the back, it was like, well, we got to get out of the way. Alex is coming. But we always knew you were the fastest driver to get up front. You're always contender, and it was fun to watch. But so stock car racing, we know that you race in it. You've grown up in Bandoleros and all that, like you just told us. Are there any other cars that you've tried to test out that you enjoy racing on iRacing just for fun?
I do enjoy driving the F1 cars. Our all-star races there. I'm not very good at them, but they're pretty fun to drive. Um, I guess I would say the rally cars would be my next up when it doesn't come to oval, like rally cars or the trucks, the Pro 2 trucks. I like those a lot because you can be aggressive in those. I mean, even in real life, they beat and bang all race long, and those trucks are indestructible. So, I like that. It's a switch of asphalt and dirt on one track. It's fun.
Oh, that's my honestly the Pro 2 Lights is like my go-to just to get aggression out.
Oh yeah.
And it's I love it way too much. That was my go-to for I would say for about 2 months. That was the only thing I was racing. I was like, nah, ovals having their own thing. I'm just gonna go to race Pro 2s and
Yeah.
actually learn how to drive these things. But I don't do it anymore just because they took away the Joker lap. So now it's just
Yeah.
like it's way too
Yeah.
aggressive now.
If you don't have an e-brake in those cars, it's kind of hard too. I have a button for my e-brake, so not quite as accurate with my e-braking as some of those guys, but it's fun though for sure.
Absolutely. Well, I did the same question back in episode two for Adam. What is something that people maybe wouldn't know about you if they weren't talking to you daily?
Uh, I make music. That's correct. That's the same answer Adam gave, but I make music as well. Yeah, that's the main thing I would say, just the music side of stuff.
Well, what type of music do you enjoy making?
I'm a rapper, so
Ooh,
yeah, yeah.
okay,
You can check my music out. DNSG Perez on YouTube. You find my videos and stuff.
okay. How long have you been
Parental
getting into
advisory on
that?
there, real quick though.
Oh, okay, we'll make sure we put that.
Gotcha, gotcha.
We'll put it in the disclaimer for sure.
Yeah.
But how long have you been into rapping, or is that just a genre that
Uh,
you just got into?
yeah. Probably. I made beats back in high school, and then I started rapping probably 5, 6 years ago. I kind of don't do it too much anymore, but still out there, still music out there, still music coming. So yeah, trying to get back focused on it a little more.
That is so. That is wild though that both you and Adam both get into
Yeah,
music.
I didn't know Adam did music until I watched his interview, and I actually had a conversation with him after that about it.
That's awesome. I think that's one thing I like about the cool down lap is it does give us this opportunity to like learn about the drivers just a little bit more than we would, and
Mm,
kind of similar to Adam and I is this is our first time, Alex, getting to really talk with one another. So
yeah,
this is is always fun to get that kind of figure out one another type of a feel. But
yeah, for sure.
same question that I asked Adam before as well. Any questions that you might have for the broadcast team or just for me?
Uh, Let me see. You feel like we put on some good shows, or anything we could do better on our side as drivers?
As drivers, I mean, you guys certainly put on some of the more entertaining shows. If we don't know what we're gonna see, if it's gonna be someone just dominating, or if it's gonna be kind of a wreck fest at times, I gotta say though, making the top 5 finishes of the month, you guys always at least have one race that's there. You're just like, how did that finish happen the way that it did? No, I think you guys are doing great. It's one of the better leagues that I think I've seen grow from season 1 to season 2 and see how you guys have progressed. And it's been a joy to watch.
Yes, sir. I appreciate it. I appreciate it. Well, I hope y'all enjoy the playoffs, and we'll try to keep it going.
And that's one thing we're excited about, playoff time, on how these final
Yes,
5
sir.
races are going to go. Well, that is going to be our segment of the cool down lap. If you'd like to listen to more of Alex's and I's conversation, we will have an extra episode that'll be posted on its own later.
Seattle Seahawks fan. That's mainly the other sport, I'd say. NFL. I do like F1. I'm a Verstappen fan. If we're talking about outside of NASCAR, I do like Max Verstappen. Watch a little hockey, but not too much. Down here in Georgia, we don't have a team no more, so hockey's not big.
Yeah. Well, I gotta say, just based off those two answers, we are already clashing at sports ends.
Oh man, who's
Because
your team?
I'm a 49ers fan.
Uh
I'm in California, so
oh.
I'm a Bay
Gotcha.
Area fan of all the sports,
Yeah.
and I'm a big Lewis Hamilton fan. Well, like not as much anymore, but when Lewis
Hmm.
first got into F1, I was a Lewis Hamilton fan, and then when he moved over to Mercedes, I was like, whatever, he can do his own
Yeah.
thing. I have to figure out a different person, and
Yeah. Yeah. Hey, Lewis Hamilton's better than the 49ers. I'll give you that.
who knows? We might come back this year if we
Yeah.
actually have a
That'll
quarterback.
be interesting.
Well, any other things that you like to dive into for music wise? Are there any other genres besides rap that you like to listen to?
I like my parents always listen to 80s rock, like Kiss and that type stuff. So my brother liked rock as well. He played a lot of Guitar Hero and stuff growing up when we were young. So I just heard a lot of those songs too. I like rock, but mainly I'd say rap. Rap and rock is probably the main two I listen to.
Top 3 artists for rap that you have so far, just for you
Uh,
personally, not like all time.
Gotcha. I'd say Money Man, um, probably Yo Gotti, and I don't know. Third's a hard one, man. Probably Young Thug, honestly.
Okay.
It may not be known by everybody who those are, but yeah, those are just my personal favorite three, probably.
Okay. Yeah, I have never. Well, actually, trying to think if I've ever heard of, and I don't think I've heard of any of those guys
Yeah,
ever. I like dip my toe in like all the genres, but I don't go deep enough to really say, oh yeah, I'm a big fan of this person or that.
yeah. I like them all for different reasons. There's a few I like them for like their CEO abilities. There's a few that are like were an artist and then became their own label, and now they have artists under them, and that. So I like the business side of some of them too. But yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I'm like in the timid side of things. I like
Mhm.
stick with NF and watch and listen to like that type of rap
Gotcha.
where it's keep it simple on that side.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, no music for me. I know I stick more with like I was really sheltered growing up because my parents were super Christian, so I didn't really get to branch out into a big pool of music growing up until like recently, and I really have like been trying to branch out more into other genres. I think for
Mhm.
me it was a lot of country and a little bit of rock here or there, but like not enough to be like, yeah, I know all the big bands.
Yeah, mine was kind of like that with country. I would hear country here and there, but not enough to really know too many songs for real. So
Yeah, it's always funny when you look at different music genres, how there's like the little differences that people have with one another.
hmm
But, well, I kind of want to go back to you talking about your family and racing the aspect on that. So racing on both sides, like you said, how much racing is your family still doing now? Do you have cousins or family members that are still racing that you go to the
um,
track with?
not that I know of. I have a cousin or my dad's cousin. I think he still does some dirt racing here and there, like some bomber mini stock type racing. I'm not sure. But as far as I know, not too much. I haven't raced since 2014, and since then, I don't think many have.
Well, racetrack. So, what was the last race that you actually got to go to? If it was a local race or an actual NASCAR race?
I was at the Atlanta race a few weeks ago, but before that, I was at a super late model race down. It was Speed Fest at Chris Motorsports Park down in South Georgia. That was my favorite track of all time to race at. I wish iRacing would get it, since they do run a semi big super late model race there every year, but it doesn't have an outside wall. It's a 3/8 mile. It's kind of why Richmond is my favorite track. I'd say on iRacing. It's very similar shape wise. It's more of a short track, but it's shaped like Richmond, and it just has kind of the same feel of high speed, but kind of on the edge.
Okay. How was that racing with no walls? Because I could not imagine racing
Uh,
on a track like that.
it was actually preferable for me because if if anybody makes a mistake, you're less. If somebody slides off, they can 50% of the time probably come back on the track and keep going. Whether rather than if there was a wall there, they would have been out. So um, it was made the track less forgiving, but it made it more intimidating for a lot of people. But yeah, I preferred. I mean, I liked not having a wall. Like I said, it was a little less forgiving, and you could dodge some wrecks that you wouldn't have if the wall was there. So
I could see that advantage now that you're
yeah,
bringing up those points. Yeah, that certainly would give me an advantage. Also, if you think about
definitely.
just dump it out of the way.
Yeah, kind of like I mean, how the turns on iRacing at Oxford are. It's similar to that type thing. If the whole track's blocked, you could go off in the grass and still be okay.
Yeah.
But the track was different than Oxford, just that style of banking and off track type thing.
Well, talking about banking and different tracks, you said you were just at Atlanta. What are your thoughts at Atlanta watching it on TV and actually being able to be there?
It's a good show. I like both. I like different things about both of them. I think everybody kind of has that opinion. A lot of people really don't like the new one, but the new one's it's entertaining. This last one, I think they were. I can't tell if they were, just being extra conservative or if they were struggling to actually get packed up. But the ones last year, I'd say were more entertaining than this recent one. But I think hopefully on the July race they should figure some stuff out from this time around and hopefully be able to keep it packed back up this time.
I got a feeling probably July is going to be a lot better just because of the fact of maybe they're worrying about parts now and they won't have to
Yeah.
worry about them as much
Yeah,
later
and they'll
on.
be making a late season push too. A lot of them won't have time to sit around and wait on stuff. So, yeah, hopefully later season races are always more entertaining usually.
Absolutely. Well, growing up, did you play any sports or was it just racing?
Well, I played football when I was real young, but for 4 years, and then, yeah, like I said, at 8, I went racing. So um, I had to pick football or racing, and it was either football that I did for 4 years that I really enjoyed, or try something new in racing, and I went with racing. So couldn't pass that one up. I enjoyed. We used to go watch before I raced. We would go out to Thursday Night Thunder at Atlanta a few times, and watch legends and bandoleros around there before I got into it. I almost vividly remember Austin Hill and Bubba Wallace being in bandoleros, being under 12 years old racing, and me watching them before I started. So that's what made me really want to get into it. I'd say we're just going to watch out there.
I mean, you talk about, getting to see a lot of these real life NASCAR drivers and racing. How does that make you feel seeing those guys and the way that they've developed to get to NASCAR and where they're at?
Yeah, there's a lot of them that, I mean, you knew when we were young that they were gonna go all the way. So uh, it's definitely, and there's some that you wouldn't have expected went all the way that have. So it's definitely interesting seeing different paths people take, and different, think trials and tribulations people have to go through to get there. So yeah, it's been interesting. It's been cool.
Yeah, I mean, it's been a fun conversation. And again, throwing it to you again. Any questions that you have or you feel like we're good?
Um, who's y'all's individual picks to win the championship, or do you know the other guys' picks?
I don't know the other guys' picks. I mean, it's really hard to pick like over Gavin just because of the way that he dominated before. But
Yeah,
with the way this season's been going, I don't know. I have to
it's
relook.
a toss up, man. I think it's
It
a toss
is
up.
because okay, so we got our 12 drivers. We got yourself, Gavin, Cedric Hunter, Steven Stimpian, Cody Reed, Borbell,
Yeah,
Buzzio. We got Jimmy as well. Mason if his internet's working, and then Johnny Shade, Blaine Wilson, Dakota.
yeah, multiple serious contenders, man. So
Yeah,
it's gonna be a tough one.
I think making it the final four, my guess would probably be those top four of yourself, Gavin, Cedric, and Steven, if no one gets caught up in any shenanigans.
Yeah,
But it's hard.
yeah, I think it's gonna be
It's
a
hard.
tough fight, because all those guys you just mentioned, they're all tough competition. So
There's like 6 or 7 guys that you're just like, yeah, they've all got a chance.
yeah, definitely,
And then
definitely.
Adam still's got to break his curse that he's been
Yeah,
trying to,
and
get a win
I've
for
seen
himself.
Adam win in a situation where it was, he needed to win. So you can't count Adam out. He's always up there lurking.
If I'm gonna have to for sure pick someone, I think I think I'm gonna go with Gavin. Even though we're having the conversation, I think I'm gonna pick Gavin on that one.
Gotcha.
But
It's all right.
maybe that's
I
gonna
like
give you the
that.
motivation.
Yeah, yeah, I like that.
But who do you have picked for making the final four?
For Final Four, that's a hard one, man. I know. There's a few different drivers have different specialties of tracks coming up. So Blaine Wilson is, and Blaine Wilson's really good at Auto Club in Michigan. So I see him possibly making a late run. Cedric definitely can be quick anywhere from what I've seen. Gavin as well, Stimpy. I mean, like you said, it's so many of them up there in the top 12 to mention. Man, it's hard, man. I don't know how it's gonna pan out.
I mean we've got already right now with the time of recording this, we've got the ISRC Truck Series on Monday. They're doing their playoffs right now. And it feels a lot easier when you like look at the stats. You're like, oh, those guys, these are probably the guys that are going to make it the top 8. Maybe this should be our top 4. I think this could be one of the harder, like just overall drivers to pick because also if you look at the season as a whole, I mean, what there were 8 races with 8 different winners
Yeah,
to
only
start
two
the
repeat winners. So,
yeah.
and even
So
last season it was like that. We had so many different winners. Man, it's real hard for guys to just make it enough points with these
yeah.
new cars. Even and that even backs up to real life last year. Um, so I think it's just the new cars, man. It really scrambles stuff up.
I think it also with the new car, just all the different tracks are so different, and it's weird how the grip levels for that car just honestly doesn't make sense some days.
Yeah, yeah, definitely.
Well, we are pushing 30 minutes into this thing, so um, Alex, thanks for joining me on this conversation and being a part of the Cool Down Lab. If there's anything else that you'd like to share or say, the floor is now yours.
I'd just like to shout out my team, CNC Esports, and shout out Freaky Fast Broadcasting for all they do for the league and the good shows they put on. And hopefully we can go go get some in the playoffs and have some momentum going into next year. Hopefully be on top of this one.
I hope for that. Well, that is going to be the 7 machine of Alex Coffey with us. Congratulations on making the playoffs and good luck Wednesday night.
Yes, sir. I appreciate it.
Well, we'll see you on our next segment of the Cooldown Lab.